pre-written app, and then for tomorrow's session we would code that app by ourselves. And then I would give you some resources, and we would be continuing this creating apps section in, tomorrow's session. Shilpa, is it recording?
Excuse me, Bhaiya.
Yes, Siddharth.
Bhaiya, do I need Android Studio on my laptop for this session?
Yes, you need Android Studio, VS Code, and Flutter SDK, which I would help you to install. This session is all about installing and downloading. We won't start directly. I would help you to links and installing and everything.
Okay, Bhaiya, thank you.
Okay. Now I'm sharing the screen. Shilpa, is it recording? Can you just reply?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Screen visible. Shilpa.
Yes, Bhaiya.
Okay, so now we are good to go. And welcome to the Flutter Forward session. Flutter made this session to get more, to engage more community developing this apps, and I would be a mentor and guide and tutor for this Flutter Forward session. So firstly, who am I? So I am Chanel Nagreja, a third-year student of Electrical and Electronics Engineering from IIT Patna, and I have been working on this Flutter since around 6 months, and I had created few of the apps, which few of them are working, few of them are failed projects. I have worked on back end, front end, creating UI, and explored Flutter enough so that I could help you and engage you all in creating this Flutter apps. So now I am sharing this doc which I have created. It contains all the links and all the links which we are going to use throughout this session. So you whenever I just ask you, you can open this link, and we would be on same page. We would be coding together. I would make sure that we all code together, and you just do not keep observing. You should do these things uh, in your laptop too. So yes, I have shared this. Just a second, I might not have given access. Okay, so open this second link which I recently shared. It has view access, and you would be able to access all the links which I have created. And yes, I can see the participants coming here. Excellent. So let's continue. So who am I? The introduction which I told, that I created few apps. I am working on it. I would probably be doing my intern or placement even this app development section. And here are my contacts. Like, it is my call, it's LinkedIn and Instagram. You can reach me anytime. For the app section, I would definitely reply to your text if it is regarding this app thing. So let's move further. So why Flutter? What is Flutter? So you must have heard about Android Studio, some Kotlin language, some Java language, some cross-platform development, some iOS development, and web development, app development. And you must be exploring all the ways around which app development I should do. Should do DSA? Should I do development thing? What is GSOC? What do companies ask? What this all things you must be going through, as we all, as we went in our first year, and you must have started learning a language like C++, and some of your seniors would have told you to do code forces, and some of them have told you to do projects and uh, uh, create some website or app. And so what all are these things? So let me tell you that Flutter is one of the SDK, or we can say tool, which would help you to develop apps, which is similar to Android SDK. Like, uh, uh, and just the difference is that Flutter is cross-platform development. Now, what does cross-platform development means? It means that from a single code base of Flutter, you can create an app which is runnable on your Android device, Mac device, Windows device, Linux device, and web device. So this tool help us to create all these apps to single code, while other SDKs like Android, if you code in Android, and it has its language Java or Kotlin. So if you code in that, then your app would run in just Kotlin. But and now if you create an app through iOS Swift, that SDK, then your app will just run in Android iOS devices. If you do using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then your application would run on web only. But if you do this by Flutter, then your application would run on any of the devices, like even Linux or even Google Fuchsia. If you ever heard about this operating system, it is newly launched operating system by Google, which is different from their uh, previously designed operating system like Chrome OS and all those things. So it runs on every every and operating system, like even your smart watches, or even your LED TVs. So think using a same code which runs on your app will also run on your smart TV, and that's the best thing about Flutter. Now I would like to really ask if you have ever explored Android Studio or Android and try to develop app. Like someone was telling, do I need Android Studio? So you must have heard about Android and Android Studio. So I would really like to know, give a thumbs up whoever has tried to explore the app development.
Excuse me, Bhaiya.
Yes,
I
yes,
did
yes.
try. I did try to explore this field of Android development, but I was not able to set up Android Studio. It did not work on my laptop, so I wasn't able to do that.
Okay. Yes, setting up Android Studio is a bit hectic thing. I know that every time you get some error, it sometimes say you don't have Java development kit and you don't have this file, and errors are so big and all those things. But I would give you resources, and would even after this session, just message me with those errors, and I will definitely help you to set up Android Studio. Is it fine?
Yes, Bhaiya. Thank you.
So as he said, he must have tried to develop an app in Android, and while developing, he would have known that that Android uses Kotlin as their development language. Similarly, Flutter uses Dart as their development language, and I prefer VS Code for developing that application, since it's a very light development tool, and would also show how to set up this VS Code, Android Studio, Flutter SDK, and everything. So first, what I'm thinking to do is would make you all to start downloading this Android Studio, VS Code, and Flutter SDK, and during the time the thing is downloading, we would play with Dartpad. Now, what is Dartpad? Dartpad is just an compiler. You must have heard about compiler. It just compiles the Dart code, and Flutter uses this Dart code for its building. So we would play with that Dart pad, and while while we play this, all things will get downloaded, and then we would be ready to set up these things. Okay, so let's get to next slide. Okay, so installation. For installation, just open the Google Doc which I shared, and open the first website, which is about install Flutter. Now just I hope most of you would be using Windows only, or some of them would be using Mac and Linux, probably someone. So just open the Windows and go through this to install everything, and just download this zip file somewhere in your computer. I'm adding it to my setup folder.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
using Mac. Which link I see?
Okay. If you are using Mac, then open this link, Mac OS.
Third year first. Then
If are you asking it here? It's Mac OS.
yeah.
Now install it according to your the core processor which you are having, Intel or Apple Silicon.
No, we are M1 chip.
M1 to
Yeah.
determine whether I guess you must download this one, Apple Silicon. So others must have started downloading this zip file, and based on your internet speed, it would be downloading its 876 MB. So I hope it would take few minutes in while downloading in your laptops. So other thing which we would need is Android Studio. So along with this, we would start downloading our Android Studio. So in the same doc where you clicked on Windows, go to down section, and here you would observe Android Studio. That link, Android Studio, and download Android Studio EEL version, which is the latest version for this function. And if you are not able to follow, I will share some of tutorial which I already added in that doc, which will help you to do the things which I am doing. So make sure to download it before tomorrow's session. Like today's session, it would be fine if you are left somewhere behind. It's okay. Like someone would have some different problems, and you can discuss all the setting up problems after the session. Like message me with your personal screenshots, and I would definitely help you to setting up. So for now, try to set it up with me, and if you are stuck somewhere, then just observe this. So now we have started downloading our Android Studio also, and then even we have to set up our VS Code. Step and editor, and start downloading VS Code too. I would definitely suggest everyone to use VS Code until and unless you are developing an app through Android SDK. Like for Flutter, it would be so useful if you use VS Code, and all the community of Flutter always uses VS Code. So I would suggest everyone to use VS Code. We can do the same things in Android Studio too, but you must have heard about the memes of Android Studio that it always makes your laptop so heated that you can make your food over it. would suggest you to use VS Code and start downloading VS Code. So while all these things are getting downloaded, let's play with our Dart. So what is that? That is a programming language similar to C++, similar to Python, similar to Java, similar to JavaScript, and all those language. Why Dart? Why Flutter uses that? Because that language was developed specially for Flutter. It removes so many unusual, unwanted things, so to make the code more feasible, more readable, more reusable for Flutter developers. So let's get started. Let me reset some code. Here we are with basic code. If you have clicked in that tab, you would be at same page like here. Right. Let's get started. To learn the Dart language. So the thing which I was telling, that it made the language so simple and so readable for human. Like you must have tried to code in C++, where you must define the data type of an variable. So that made it simple and made a dynamic data type, like you can assign whatever and everything. So we'll discuss further while learning this. This C, like in till now you have to write like int main this comma in C++, but now you can even remove this void. They know that it's void main, it's dynamic main, so any data type this main could return. So you can write it with main, and it has basic functionalities. I would suggest everyone to code whatever I am doing in Artpad. And while all this VS Code, Android Studio, and Flutter SDK are getting downloaded. Print. So, well, that's it. That's your print statement. You would run. Console will give you output hello world. And this is about writing print statement in that, and I would really recommend you everyone to open this that sample link after the session, which has which has everything about this that sample, like every important if else statement. Even we would code now, but after session, I would suggest everyone to go through this documentation. And the beautiful thing about Flutter is that it has beautiful documentation, like no other building platform has so detailed, so clear documentation. It's like Flutter was built in around 2016 only, so they know what Flutter developers need. What developers generally need is proper documentation. So they built it. Here we have tutorials which help you to get better at language. Here you have full tour of language. So let's type something so we get our hands on in Flutter. So you must have written hello world, then write something else. Now make a step. Equals to 36. Print S2. Here we have a beautiful feature which gives an error whenever it do not find something. So what it's telling that num is already defined, and here we are trying to redefine it. So we can bracket here. Now it should work. Doing 78 summation, but you would ask that what is different from C++? Like this is same thing which we were doing in C++. But if you have written Kotlin somewhere, then Kotlin allows us to Kotlin understand the data type of its variable by itself. So that also does the same thing. Like you can here like where, like you do not have defined the data type of number 2, but by itself it would consider that where where means variable. So variable is int because num2 has value 36. Giving still same answer because what we have changed is int. Like here you need uh, to define the data type, but instead of pure data type, we have written variable. Like it could be anything. Now let's get to string data type. Like your name, where, if you want to print it, then just write double inverted commas since it is a string. Strings S should be capital. And if now since I want to use the first name variable in my string, like if I write here just first name space last name, then it would give output as first name space last name. Right? Yes. So you can see that console is giving the output as first name space last name, but we were expecting that it would be writing general language, but it wrote first last name. So you would just add a dollar sign here. Dollar sign indicates that the thing inside a string is a variable, not a simple string. So now if I run it, will I get? This must be improved now. Like that.dev is so slow. While if we use Kotlin's run pad, it's quite faster. Now you can see that my name is written here since I was using dollar sign. So I use variable inside a string, and I could write here anything like and or no some or something. This would be getting printed between name. So you can observe that it whatever we have written in between is printed same. And instead of string, we have used here var. We can even use string. And sometimes imagine a situation where your app is giving some like app is giving some output from API. Now, what is API? Well, I will tell later. But API is something which gives us data from internet. So think about an API which is giving us a data, but we don't know what is the type of data. So like here we know that my last name would be a string, but since an API, since data is coming from outer sources, we don't know data type of that API. So we just like var, and whatever data type is there, the variable understand it by itself. So that's beautiful thing about that. Now let's get on to next data type. So here these are keywords. Abstract and I would suggest everyone to open and see what that particular keyword do. If I start teaching it, then it would take so much time. So I'm suggesting I have given link inside this. Here it is, .pet.samples, and you can open this site. You can explore. You can read all these things and ask me the doubt after this session. So let's get to next example. Something. You this. See what else things are there. We can print multi-line output like it's single line, but if we want to print multi-line output, by the way, this forward slash make a comment, we can write anything here and it won't be read by compiler. So if you write this three inverted commas and write something inside this and here, then they would consider it as a multi-line string, and you can write any number of lines. So all these things you can read it here. I have taken things from here only. Now let me introduce you to 2 or 3 more data types, like maybe int or final or constant. So what are this final and constant? So think of something which you want to carry throughout the program and do not want it to change by any API or any external sources, any button pressing or anything. You just want it to be same throughout the program. Then you would be defining that thing with data type final. So if you write final num equals to 42, and if you try to redefine it, num equals to initial is 42 and now I'm redefining it 36. So what it would definitely give me an error that num can only be set once since it is written as final. Same is with const. So if I write const num1 equals to 44, and if I try to change num1 as 36 something, would give me again an error that constant variables can't be assigned to values further. So this both the data types are used to give constant value to our program, which could not be altered further. Now I'll just let this comment out. Now think of something like initially I have declared some int number, and initially that number is some number, and I want to change its data type. Like I don't want number to be int anymore. I want number to string. But if I write a number equals to some string, hello, it would give me an error that string can't be assigned to data type int. Since number was initially int, so string can't be assigned to it. But if I want to do it somewhere in my app, that some variable would initially take a number and finally take a string, or initially take a double, or finally take some bool data type. Like I don't know what data type it should be. Then we can, instead of writing it, we can use dynamic. Now this error is removed since compiler got that that number is of dynamic data type. It could be int initially, it could be string finally, it could be bool initially, and it could be int finally. So the data type dynamicity is obtained here. Like we couldn't give any data type to that particular uh, particular number. What else I need to show you? Yes, relational data types. If you have ever explored C++, then you must have so this equal to, like, let me show. Equal to means it checks equality. Other than this, not equal to, like it defines that if, let me show an example. Even in that we have if else, we loops, and everything as similar to C++. Like it's almost same. There is nothing difference. Everything is almost same. Like if you know C++ or JavaScript or even Java, then you would feel very similar in that. Let me write if number is equal to hello, and then print that both of them are same. Else print are different. So what equal to sign will do? It will check the equality. Like if number is hello, then print both of them are same. If number is not hello, print both of them are different. Let us see. Is giving both of them are same, since number is also hello. Now if I write hello, then it would give that both of them are different, because both of them are different. So like this, you can play with the language, with the examples given here. See what they are trying to do here. They are defining final and constant and everything, which I recently mentioned. Here is another data type called late, which means that I would initialize the variable late. Like here, just let me show an example. Late, and it means that I would initialize car later. But if I anyway forgot to define it later, it would give me an error. Let me show you. Print car. Let's see if we haven't given any values to car, what it will give. It gave an error that the late variable car is definitely unassigned at this point. So late will always remind us that we should write some, we should give car some number, 36. If we give car a number, then error is gone. Now just think that I am not writing late here, and I have defined print car, and now it is giving me error that car is null. And like it is non-nullable, still it is null. So we must not use it. So instead of int, I can write null, and it would give me error that car is not nullable. Let us move to further examples. Now let me introduce you to lists. So in C++, you must have seen what are arrays, what are vectors and arrays, vectors, maps, uh, all the data structure. So similar to that, even here we have our arrays, which are here known as lists. Show here itself, since it is taking so much time. So I would see here FOO is a list. Even we haven't defined it. See, list. These are all examples how we can define list, uh, where list equals to 1, 2, 3. Let's take an example and explore for a bit more minutes, around 4 minutes, and then we would set this Android Studio and VS Code setup. So let us consider that I have a list of numbers. Now, since we have defined its data type as var, we can add here string to, and still it won't give me an error, even if there is a string inside a list, because we have used here var. Now, instead of var, if we use list of just int, so it give me an error that it is not assignable. Like hello is a string, and since we are using list of ints, it is not assignable. So we must remove this. And we can explicitly define its data type as int or maybe var. So I would suggest you to go through this. See here var of list has the string data type, and this asset function is checking if it's and that also gives you the predefined functions with which you can get its length and size and all those things. Like here it is written var list dot length, uh, like that. Var list of ints, so it has ints. I would suggest you to go through this. If I would start typing everything, then it would take so much time. So go through this, tool, I guess, pasting in the chat section, and everyone can get it. Even it is inside the doc. Okay, so let's get out of this Dartpad thing. I hope everyone got what this Dartpad does. Help us. It is just a compiler, online compiler, which help us to practice the Dart code. So we are done with Dart code. So let's close this and let's set up our Flutter Studio, Android Studio VS Code. So what you need to do, like, let me wake you all up. If you are bored or something, just drink some water and we can start again. I would suggest you to follow up this thing from now, since the initial thing you could learn from anywhere, but the setting up thing would definitely trouble you. Okay, so let's get started. First, go inside your C folder and create a new folder named Flutter. I have already created it. You just create the folder name Flutter. Now open this downloaded thing. and this would lead you to the Flutter folder, and just press on it, and there would be an option to extract all. So extract this thing and in the Flutter folder which we recently created in our C file. So go to Windows, C, and Flutter, and select this folder, and then select folder. Since I have done it already, I'm not doing it again, but you must do it like Flutter, and it's very necessary to extract this thing in Flutter only. So just do it, and after the extract thing would be done, you would get something like this Flutter, and inside this there will be a Flutter folder, and inside that there would be a bin folder. So open that bin folder and copy the path. This path is basically path which would lead you to bin folder, and what you have to do is to open the environment variable, type search section here, environment variable, and make sure it's not environment variable of your account, it's environment variable for system. So here see there are two options, environment variable for account and edit the system environment variable. So make sure that you are going in system environment variable and go to environment variables, open the path, and and paste that path of bin folder. See, I have already done it, but since you haven't, so click on this new, it would take you to a new line, and paste this Flutter path. I have done it again, but I must not do it, but you should do it. So paste this Flutter path, press OK, and that's done. Now, if you want to check uh, you were able to do it or not, then go to command prompt, write Flutter version. So it would give you the version of Flutter which you are currently in. So my Flutter is currently 3.7.5 version, which is stable version of Flutter, and and hopefully everyone must have reached here. Can I get a thumbs up or something if you have reached here? Okay, I got one. Thank you, Krish. And even I have added a link. Let me show you. Link which added here I have added a YouTube video which would take you to the same process which I'm telling, and if you weren't not able to follow it, you can do it after the session too. So open this video and go through this tutorial, and 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 if you have Mac or something, then just search how to set up Flutter on Mac, how to set up Flutter on Linux, and keep going through Stack Overflow and all those websites which would help you to setting it up. If you still are able to set up, then message me with a screenshot of the problem, and I will help you. So, hopefully you must have run this command Flutter version, and it would give you the version of Dart, Flutter, and everything. Now next command is Flutter Doctor. Type Flutter Doctor, and this would give you the all over analysis how Flutter is set up in your system. If you are doing it first time, you must not get all this text. There would be a problems in here: Android tool chain, Visual Studio setup, Android Studio setup, and this all these things would give you a cross or something. So let us figure that out. So I hope your Android Studio would be installed by now. So open this Android Studio setup. I know that Android Studio takes so much RAM. Flutter also takes so much RAM. So I hope your your PCs won't be stuck up here. Like there's not an alternate option. So many of them generally generally tries creating web applications since it takes so less space. But if you have stable laptop and stable internet connection, then app development would never hinder you. So set this Android Studio up. Like click on that setup. It would select everything next. I'm I have already installed it. Let me install it again. So set it up again. Everything default. Next, next, next. Install and it would start installing. Wait, wait till the process ends. Okay, so my process is complete based upon your system. It would take less time or more time. So next and finish. And it would start your Android Studio. It would show Android Studio Electric Eel version, is most recent version. Now when you will go, you won't see the screen since I'm using it from very long time. It's showing me this screen. Let me show how you will be able to see. So see, this is the first time you open the Android Studio. There are no projects, nothing. So next you tap on this more actions, and this more actions would be having an option of SDK manager. Let me show you this. And if you would click on more, then there would be option of this SDK manager, and just click on that SDK manager. Click on SDK tools and click on this button, Android SDK command line. Let me show you how it would be visible in your see here. Android SDK command line tools. So you have to install this Android SDK command line tools. Click here, click OK, and this would lead you to download Android SDK command line tools. Now if you would go again to your console, you would get this tick, Android Studio installed. This tick. Now you have to ready on some licenses. So next command would be Flutter Android. When I have pasted this command in my doc, you would observe here Android Doctor Flutter licenses. Copy it from here, paste it here, and if you are doing first time, then you would need to agree by pressing yes on the conditions which you would get. If you are still not able to get it, I would highly suggest you to open this video and and you would get it what I'm sharing with you. So see after this command line downloading, this command line downloading, what he did was Flutter Doctor Android licenses, and you would get some conditions to accept, right? Why everywhere, and after a successful completion, you would get all SDK packages license accepted, 100% 100% completed. Hopefully, few of you must have reached here. Not, Send me your errors after this session and I would help you to sort it out. But by tomorrow, make sure that all these errors are configured, because tomorrow we are going to create an app and I want all of you to create that app along with me. So make sure you are and after this accepting thing, again run Flutter Docker. And now I guess most of the uh, fix would be configured, and that's it. If you are finding this thing, then no need to worry. It's all fine since it's already set it up in Visual Studio Code. It's not needed to do it in both Android Studio and Visual Studio Code. It's okay to do it in a single file. So okay, now we are ready to go. I would suggest to follow this video fully, which would help you to set your VS Code up for tomorrow. And for today, just observe the things which I'm going to tell today. We are not going to code anything new. Just observe the things which I am telling, and tomorrow we are going to code. So it's okay if you are able to follow. Since some of you would be taking time, some of your internets would be taking time, some of your systems would be taking time. Okay, fine. And next thing I would recommend you all to set up is this screen copy plus. This is not a necessary thing, but I generally suggest developers to download this, because what it does is it creates your phone as your test emulator. Like if you don't do it, then you would observe in that video too, that installing video, that they are downloading an emulator which would consume your so much RAM that that your operations would be very slow. So I would suggest everyone to download this screen copy, whose website is also mentioned here, GitHub. So for that, you just need to download this installer, download it, and it's within some few seconds it would be downloaded. And I would show you how to use your phone, how to see your phone screen, control your phone from your laptop itself. So just after it's downloaded, just open that setup. Not opening from here, get from here. Steps, screen copy plus installer. It would give some warning that that it would face some security risk about data, but make sure that you are using your phone only, not anyone else's phone. Okay, installing. Then now you would be able to see the screen, and take an USB cable, insert that cable in your phone, and after some basic jugaad of taking that pin, USB pin, many of your pins would be fishy as mine. Just a second. Just a second. Finally, I am able to plug in successfully the USB from my phone, and you must have done this like for transferring data from your phone to laptop. So it's not a very big thing. Then you would get information about this all these things. But it might you might not get these things. What you need to do initially is open your phone, go to settings, go to settings. This developer options would not be enabled initially in your phone. You have to do it by yourself. So go to about phone, go to software information, and let me show you by closing this initially. So if you haven't done anything till now, then this developer options would be closed and be able to do it without showing. So I need to open it. Just a second. So now since you won't get this developer options initially, so what you have to do is about phone software information and click on this build number 2 or 3 times. It is written no need developer mode is already enabled, but after you will click on this build number 5 or 6 times, it would show that you are 2 steps away from developer, 3 steps away from developer, and keep clicking on it until it shows that finally developer mode is enabled. So now you are a mobile application developer. Congratulations, and you would get this mobile developer options, and from developer option search USB debugging. USB go to this USB debugging options and on this debugging options. So now you would be able to see this your phone screen, which is like I'm showing in your own PC, and even you can control these things from here, like you can create your phone from here itself. So let's minimize it for now. And this is the use of screen copy plus, which I made you to install at last. So now I guess all our things are already installed, or is it something left? Or maybe VS Code is left. So but for installing VS Code, just go to its setup and click on OK, and everything VS Code will set up by itself. And finally, you would be, let me open my last, let me close my last one. And after everything, you would come to this VS Code screen. I have changed some theme and all those things. You would get similar kind of looking VS Code page where where you need to create your new Flutter project. And for that, initially you need to download an extension of VS Code, which I am telling you now. So go to this extensions, go to uh, go to Flutter. So, so here there are many Flutter, but make sure to go in that blue tick. Like Instagram has blue tick, VS Code has also blue tick on authorized extension. So go to this extension here. Since I have installed, I don't have this option, but you would be having an option to install it. And all these things which I'm telling are also in that video. So make sure to watch that video for setting up if you are not able to follow till now. So just press install button here, and now you are ready to go. Like everything is installed. Now if you would run Flutter Docker, then all that, like most of the text would be green, and you are then ready to go. So what you need to do is go on view and then command palette. Here search for an property which is new project. This new project, it would ask you what kind of project you want to create. So tell me that I want to create an application, and there are also options of creating module, package, plugin, skeleton. I will later explain you what are this module, package, plugin, and all those things. But initially, let's try creating an application. So it would ask you where you want to create your application. Just I'm creating it here in D file. Name your application or something. You can name it Flutter application, anything Flutter application only. If you want to change, you can change the name or just keep it as it is. Press enter and then wait for a second. Like it would take 1 or 2 minutes based on system to create a new Flutter project. I would suggest you to close all other tabs which would are also consuming your RAM. Yes, so now you are just left with useful things like this is screen copy. And my Flutter project is ready, but many of your Flutter projects would take time to build initially. But after first time, it would be easy to create this project. Now we are on the main screen of our Flutter project. This is the screen where our Flutter project starts, and there are then routing and all those things which I would explain in tomorrow's lecture. But let's get idea about what are these files and folders in Flutter project. Before that, I have created a slide which might be interesting for you all to know. So let me share that first. Yes. Let's do some gyan ki baatein, like how Flutter works and how other Android Studio or other Android creating framework work. Like what Flutter do is to uh, to compile your native code and make changes in mobile pixel directly from your code. Uh, those things might be very technical for you, but what other platform do is they talk, like they send the information through bridge to some compiling language like JavaScript, and that JavaScript communicates to apps, uh, native apps. But in Flutter, it directly renders the pixel of your phone. So Flutter is becoming very popular these days because uh, it directly attacks on your pixel, and it don't make any extra code or uses any bridge or something. It directly communicates with your phone's pixel. It changes that pixel by itself. You must have played some high graphics games, which is mainly developed using Unity. And the concept of Unity and Flutter is very same, that it directly changes the pixels of your uh, phone screen. So Flutter is becoming very popular nowadays. There are other cross platform development SDKs like React Native and all those things, but among them, Flutter is very, very high end uh, programming tool because it directly renders your Flutter. So this is some Gyan ki baatein. And other thing I would like to share is that many apps today are built based on Flutter only. Today, no one is using those primitive Android, Kotlin, Java, and all those things. Today, everyone is using some cross-platform developments. Since from same platform, you would be able to code in iOS and Android and all those platforms. So applications like your Google Pay is made through Flutter. Yeah, the Dream 11 app that advertisement comes की मैं टीम बना लेता हूँ आप जाके कुछ कर लो वो that app is also built using Flutter. And now PUBG, the most famous game, is integrating Flutter in their platform. So I have shared in that talk I have written a column called Flex, and you can go there and they have flexed on their website about apps which using the BMW car app. Like there must be an app which shows information about BMW's internal system, which is made by BMW companies, made with Flutter. And you can see the apps, eBay or Alibaba, and all those apps, which are very modern apps, are created using Flutter. So I would suggest you to go through this, and so you would get to know that why app Flutter is very important in nowadays world, like Toyota app, decent games app. So go through this, you would get to know. Other than this, I also shared Explore Flutter thing. So it's a playlist of Flutter Forward, which is by many Flutter developers. And you can see this small videos which would help you to get more interested in Flutter. Since I might not be able to cover all the things, so I have shared this, and I would suggest you to binge it in free time. You would get how app development, how beautiful these things are. So I would suggest you to go through this. This one is for 2 hours. You might be get bored, so go through the small videos. And I hope that your project would be built by now. Hope your project is built by now. So let me guide you through the project, what project looks like. Let me first tell you what project is. So project is combination of the executable files, storing files, or the files which would help you to manage your working application. Like like you would be coding in just that, but there are this many files. Like see, you have YAML file, YAML pubspec.log file, and for Windows there are a different file. For web there are different files. For Mac OS there are different files. For Linux there are different files. For iOS, for Android, you have different folders. But mainly you would be working with the main.dat, and what this main.dat will do, it would create its changes in this folder by itself. So mostly you would be dealing with the library only. So this was about, and you can see that it is main.dat. So its extension is .dat, and we were learning that from datpad before around 30 minutes. So that would be very useful while coding it. Next important file is pubspec.yaml file. So what this YAML file does is to store all your dependencies. Now, what are dependencies? Dependencies are the pre-written codes which would help you to create your projects faster. Like think about a button, maybe an elevated button, which would mostly be used in many projects. So what many developers do is they pre-write that button code and push it in a beautiful website called pub.dev. Let me start it. Pub.dev. Here you would get all the dependencies, which would be very useful. While like you can't make a project without these dependencies. Uh, these are the packages which would eventually help you in throughout your projects. This is Google Fonts. Now, if you will download this, then you can change the fonts in your app. Now, these are Flutter rating bar. So if you want a rating bar somewhere, then you can download this plugin, then and use it directly instead of coding that star pattern and clicking. And if you would see this, then they would have added README example, installing process, and everything. See, they have given example how it will work. So if you want 3.6 star rating, then 3.6 star rate would be colored. So they have pre-coded it. We have option to directly just in one or two line just embed in our own code. So these things are very useful, and uh, this pub.dev packages are installed in our pubspec.yaml file. So if you need to install a new package, then what you need to do, just take an example of a package. I want to use HTTP package. So what I will do, I will go to HTTP installing, and there would be an code which would help you to which you just have to copy and paste it in your terminal. Now, where is terminal? Terminal, and you are in your terminal. So if I would just paste and press enter, then it would automatically add the dependencies in my project. So see, until now it was just Cupertino. Now it's HTTP also included. Now let's take another example. If you want to install the different package, let's take an example for Google Fonts. So if you want Google Fonts in your application, you want to use it, just copy this, copied. Now see, the last dependency is HTTP. After I will paste it, after I will run it, I will get as Google font also installed in my dependencies. And now you can use this dependencies in your project. So this is the use of YAML file. It manages all the dependencies. Even if you want to add some photos or something, then you can create an assets folder, and that asset would be included here. See, here they have commented and brought all this uses of this sections. So once you create the new project, uh, uh, in comments every instructions are pre-written, and I will suggest everyone to read this instruction. Now let's go to our main.dat file. Those all other. So Flutter, whenever you open a new Flutter project, it already gives you a Flutter project uh, which is pre-coded. This Flutter project is a simple counter which they have initially made, so which we can learn. See, this is the theme of your application. So in theme, we would define how our theme goes. Try running with Flutter. These are all in instructions written. Now let me go through every thing. So initially we write here import thing. You must have tried writing import in, if you write C++, then you write hashtag include iostream or hashtag include string or something. You must have done that. So in in Flutter, what we do is import package flutter material.dart. So it's a package using which we would get this all the widgets like scaffold and which we would use here, scaffold or app bar or column, and all those things are in material package. So it's an essential thing to download this material package. And the best thing about VS Code is whenever you hover over anything, like see, I kept my cursor here and I have all the information about that line written. Flutter widgets, Flutter everything. You can explore more by clicking just on links. Like see, I want to just what I did is control plus click and give an off one, and this would lead you to some Google developer site which would teach you what are Flutter materials, Flutter design, everything. So it's very convenient for anyone to do it. Now this is the main function of our code. Like in C++, you must have seen int main, void main. So similar to that, we have void main here, and in this run app is a widget. Now let me define you what widgets are and what properties are. So Flutter is completely made of widgets and properties. Like widgets has properties, properties has widgets, and it keeps on going like that. See, I have made an illustration. So there is a class, then there are widgets, widgets has properties, properties has widgets, widgets has properties, properties has widgets. So everything, every UI component would be written as a widgets, as a properties, widgets, properties, widgets, properties. And all the logic code would be written as we were writing int num1, int num2, and addition. So that will be logic, and this widgets would serve as our UI. These things would be overwhelming for you for this time. I know that, but this session is just for listening. Like it's okay if you are not getting anything, just listen it. Start exploring, download it, try pressing new things, start hovering over it, and you would get what all things are there. And keep asking me, keep asking doubts, keep trying build new project. What you can do is go to YouTube and search for create some basic Flutter project, and that would show some tutorial, and just follow the tutorial and you would learn many things. So it's okay if you are not getting some things, but just listen. And someday surely these things will strike. Like in that session I heard about this. So let's get where we were. So this is our my app widget, and now I'm creating the class my app, and this class is a stateless widget. Now, what is stateless and what is stateful? So in stateless, we would get a stationary page, like things of that page won't change. Sometimes like we need something which won't change. We want a button that would be just pressed and no values and nothing. So that type of pages are known as stateless pages. But and sometimes we want to change some things, like if we press some button, then digits over that screen would change. So that is stateful widget. So initially they have created a stateless widget. Now uh, next thing is this return material app. So this class has its return type, which is material app, and material app is widget. And material app widget has its properties title, and properties has again its widget theme data. So you can see what I was telling, that property widget, its properties, widgets, and these things continue every time. So what they have done is the title of this app was Flutter Demo. Theme of is a default theme, primary color switch. See now, if you now, how would you get to know that theme data has a uh, has properties primary switch? So if you hover over it, you would get all the properties which this theme data would contain. It has color, it has color scheme, it has brightness, and all the things which you can uh, think of. See, this have this n number of properties, and you can change any of the properties as per your requirement. So theme data and primary switch, we can write color to its blue, and similarly this home. But home means what will be your first page. So home is my home page, which they have created below it. So just define it my home page, and title will be Flutter demo home page. Now they have created this first page, which is stateful widget. Since we would changing some values, so it is stateful. If we are not going to change some values, so it would be stateless. And if you want to read this, I would suggest to go through this comments. They would clear your most of the doubts what these things are. Now see, they what they have did is created an app that would give you give increment whenever you write plus over it, like tap plus over it. I will show you after this thing. I will show you what I'm telling is. Just a second. So they have created a function increment counter, and they have used a set state. So what this function do is change the numbers which are displayed on the screen. So as counter plus plus, so we need to change the state of screen. So and next, this is our main code where our UI is built. So in app bar, what you must have seen an app bar which goes over on the top of our Flutter, like on any app. So there would be written some data, and you can read. Now let's just execute code and get the feel how it works. So for running the project, just go to run, debugging, and you must see here in which type of device your project is running. Like, see, I am running it on Samsung A21F, which is my own phone. It is giving me some error. Let's solve it. Dot gradle. Okay. Just a second. Let's solve this error. Let me tell you that you will definitely get this error while solving, like while running any problems. Many error would be there. So what I generally do is like, I also don't know what the, this error comes from, why this error occurs. So what I do is I would just copy this whatever I can see, and copy, open Chrome, paste it here, and I would get a uh, stack overflow response, and I would see what they suggest me to do. Let's see. It's not copied properly. Copy this one. Now I got an error. See, what they have done is do the stack overflow. Okay, so what I I got to learn is I need to go to Android folder, Android Studio folder, and copy this JVR files. This JRE files. Okay. That's it. Now run Flutter Doctor again. I would run Flutter Doctor to get what problem is there. Okay, now I might be ready to run again. Debugging the console, and this running thing would surely take time because they need to install that full app along with its code in your mobile phone. So this thing would take time. So make sure you be bearable with it. Your system is compatible enough. Compile this. But that was mostly about today's session. Like now I would just display you how this sample app looks. And today was you're just exploring of Flutter. Now you go through all the links I told you, go through all the things I which suggested, install Flutter, read about Flutter, search on YouTube how your career would be if you choose to be a full-time developer of Flutter, how you can accelerate, how uh, Google is adapting Flutter and everything. So I would suggest you to go through it. Just a second. I would create within few seconds. Till that time, if anyone has something to share, I would be happy to hear it. I guess our project is built. Let's see. It is opening. Just a second. And now, second. Yeah. Done. So here I'm ready with my sample project. So as I was telling, the title would be Flutter Demo Homepage. So here it is written Flutter Demo Homepage. Now if I remove and write here some my name like channels, uh, channels Flutter Demo app. So and there is an option to hot reload. Now what this hot reload will do, it would compile the changes. What's the change? I have changed the title in my app. Like it won't compile the full code. It will just take a 1 second and it will change the thing which we have changed. Not whole code will compile. So it is also a benefit of using Flutter that it gives you an option of hot reload. This hot reload makes your development too speedy. Like no other platform gives you this facilities. Now what this app do is uh, what I told is they have created a floating action button and they have written a property like on pressed on pressed. What it will do is increment counter. And what is this increment counter? It is an function which they have built like on increment. So we can see this function on increment, and what it does in on increment is increase the counter count. And where this counter is used, this counter, see where this counter is used. This counter is used in text widget of this here. So what it do is when we press plus, it increase this counter count plus plus. This is the simple demo app. which they have pre-created, and tomorrow we will create another basic app by coding it ourselves. Like today we are using their coded app, but tomorrow we will code all these things by ourselves. Let me show you some more change. Like if I write initial counter as 5, and if I hot reload it, what it will do is or maybe hot restart. Like if sometimes I want to change all the things, then I must do hot restart. So what it will do is it would start my app with 5 instead of 0. So I just press plus. So it's 6, 7, 8, and now if I make some change like counter plus plus will increment it 1, but if I write plus equals to counter counter equals to underscore counter plus 3. So every time I press this button, I would increment the counter by 3. So let's see the example. So initially it's starting by 8, 5, 9, 9, 8, now 11 and 14, and so we can see that the counter is getting incremented by 3. So that's it. We have used our sample app. We have run it, and I hope you must have got some idea about how apps run, how Flutter works, and would surely be inspired to try it by yourself. So I would suggest to go through that doc. I'm sharing that doc again. If you have closed that tab, I'm sharing that doc again. Make sure to bookmark that doc and explore every site which I have mentioned in that doc. Okay, so I have shared that doc again. And that's it. That was all about today's second session. And hopefully all of you will install setup in your systems and share me the screenshot of problems, and I will make sure that we can code first app tomorrow. That's it. Meet you tomorrow. Goodbye.